All right, so we're now going to be speaking with case number 7, the 7th person who was confirmed to have COVID-19 in Ghana. He's currently in isolation and he's been graceful enough to want to speak with us, to tell us about the experience in isolation. Now, this is his case number 7 on March 17, 2020. This is posted on the website of the Ghana Health Service. We have received report from NMRR, which is Noguchi, that indicated that one more confirmed case as positive for COVID-19 in Greater Accra region. The case patient is a 35-year-old male, a Ghanaian citizen who returned to Accra from France within the past 14 days. This is another imported case, which brings the total number of confirmed cases to 7. The case is being managed in isolation and he is in stable condition. Now, that gentleman who is in stable condition has joined us on the phone right now to tell us about what life is like in isolation. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Now, how are you doing, first of all?
Israel, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks to your listeners and thanks to Ghana. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm in good shape. I'm in good spirit.
All right. Now, how many days have you been in isolation?
3 days.
What is life in isolation like? I'm trying to imagine where you find yourself. Is it in a glass cubicle that you can't interface with anybody at all?
Far from that. Far from that, Israel. First of all, let me say that when you are confirmed, you are moved into this center, you are located a room, it has a louver blaze, just like the normal houses that we have. You have your toilet and bath, and then you have some few gadgets around you. Just make sure that in case of any eventuality or in case of any emergency, they can use it to stabilize your condition. So we have oxygen and everything in our room. But they usually don't use it unless the case is very critical. Just as you said, living in this place, I don't think any Ghanaian would love to be in the condition that we find ourselves, because everybody loves to have his freedom. The freedom of movement and everything is one thing each and everyone cherishes. But the point is that as a human being, in a certain point in your life, you have to make a sacrifice, not just for yourself, but for society and for public safety. And my brothers and sisters, all of us have agreed that we are not just doing this for ourselves, but we are doing this for Mother Ghana. It's like you wake up every day, you are able to do your normal things in the house or going to work, but now you have been confined to, let's say, a 7 feet by 7 feet room. The door are locked. Let me say, I call this place a special prison because your rights are just a little bit different from people who are in cell, because you have the liberty to see people, you talk to people the way you want, you are given some special attention, unlike our brothers at the cell. But the point is that your right to move has been curtailed by virtue of this pandemic. So it's not something that we wish for anybody, and we pray nobody falls within this category.
Now, you indicate that you're there with a number of people. How many are you there with?
Personally, I cannot confirm the total number, but I know there are a couple of people over here in the regional center. You know, when you come, you are not allowed to see your fellow brother or sister. You are just walked straight by the expert into your room. They give you briefing. They tell you exactly what is expected of you, how you should comport yourself in the center. And then you are assigned a nurse who is able to take care of you. If you need anything, food, water, and everything, they provide us everything. In the morning, they come and do room services for us, the cleaning, and then everything. So that is how we live here. Apart from, let's say, 1 or 2 people that they brought to the place that I saw through the window, I have not had opportunity even to chat with any of them, because all of us have been confined into our room.
Do you
I'm talking to you, I can't go out because the key is locked outside, so you can't go out.
Do you get to listen to the radio or watch TV?
Oh, I don't have TV here, but we have access to radio. I have access to radio because I came in with my radio, but I don't have a television here.
Now, the nurse you say comes to attend to you. I can imagine they come in fully clothed in PPEs.
Exactly. Yes, they come in well protected. And honestly, let me say, the staff that we have here are amazing. They treat us like human beings. They treat us like fellow Ghanaians. They don't treat us like strangers. They come and they try to give you some sense of support, telling you that, look, we are going to be through with this thing, so you guys should embrace yourself, and this thing is going to be over soon. And I believe that is the spirit that we want all Ghanaians to develop, and not those that want to, help rather make things difficult for us.
Now, how do you think you got infected?
Honestly, if you ask me, I will not be able to say. You know, Israel, the thing is not like you have gone to a particular room and from there you came straight and you checked and then you realize that you don't have. The point is you have had contact with more than 500,000 people, because I was in Paris for more than 14 days. So if I've been in Paris for 14 days, don't forget that the thing can be with you, let's say, the very day you got there, or when in the middle of the whole thing, or when you are about to leave. So it's very difficult to pinpoint exactly. For instance, it has been heard that there are Ghanaians who had community transmission. Now let's ask ourselves, did they travel to anywhere? No. Did they have contact with people? No. So how did they get it? You can't tell. That is why the WHO insists that test. That is the only way. And I believe this is not the time to blame people that you infected me with this virus. And the point is we have to encourage people rather to come out when they realize that they have the virus.
Now, I would want you to walk us through when you were tested, when you arrived in Ghana, and when it was confirmed, and when you were picked up, or how you ended up in isolation.
Ezra, you know, I returned from Paris. That was on Saturday. I came. They drove me straight to my house. I went to self-quarantine. Sunday, I was in the house.
Oh, so you chose to go into self-isolation yourself?
Yes, I did. Because my employer issued a communique to us. But I was coughing. It was not severe. But luckily enough, my father-in-law happens to be a public health specialist. So I had a discussion with him and I told him, oh, I have these few symptoms. You suspect it will be that. He said he cannot say. The best thing is I have to go and test for it. So I took the challenge and I said, okay, Monday in the morning, first thing first is that I have to get tested. There is a whole background story about getting tested at Bridge, which I will discuss about it later, and certain efforts or certain things that have to go on just to make sure that things are right. We'll talk about it when I'm out. But I got tested at Bridge on Monday, and I went back home into self-quarantine. On Tuesday, I got the information that I have been confirmed as one of the those having the virus. So immediately what I did was to start putting the family and everybody into position, because at the end of the day, they need to know my status, and then they need to prepare their mind for the task ahead. So I did all those things. On Tuesday, Wednesday, I spoke with officials, and then they agreed that they have to come for me. Initially, there was an arrangement even to keep me at my place, but there is no toilet facility, there's no washroom over there, and you can't keep a human being in an environment where there is no such thing, because I was asked to quarantine far from the family. So when they realized that that was not happening, they agreed to move me to the center. I came with the ambulance. I was well received by the officers over here. I have been given exceptional treatment over here, just like going to one of the finest restaurants, or let's say one of the finest hotels over here. People are very nice over here. And that is it. I have to embrace myself and tell myself, look, I have the virus now. So the point is, what's next?
Now,
So,
you talk about going in, you returning to Ghana on Saturday and eventually ending up in the hospital on Tuesday. Between Saturday and Tuesday, have you been able to supply the names or the contacts of the people you came into contact with?
exactly. When I came, I had the people that I had contact with. I prepared what you call the contact list. I have shared it with my office. I have shared it with the Ghana Health Service, and all those people, there has been a contact with them.
What is your situation now?
Evans, Ezra, I can assure you I'm in the best of health. I'm very strong. I don't have any flu. From day one, I don't have any flu. The cough, once a while before it comes. I don't have high fever. My temperature has been normal. I do everything that every normal human being, will do or have been doing. So that is it. I'm very strong. I don't have any headache. And that is a strange aspect of mine.
What sort of medication are you giving? Are you able to tell?
Yes, they do it case by case. My case, they realize that my immune system is okay and it can handle the virus on its own without necessarily using any particular medicine. So I've been put on vitamin C, and so far that is what I've been taking. They advise me to take more water, and they advise us to get a balanced diet.
Have they told you when you're likely to come out?
Hopefully Monday, the experts have told me they are likely to conduct another test. And if God willing it proves negative, then I'm likely to come out.
All right. So you're likely to be among Ghana's first recoveries.
I pray so, and I'm confident enough that I'm going to be part of the first part.
Do you have any message for the rest of us who are out there and worried about COVID-19?
First of all, I would like to thank you and your artists for giving me the opportunity to express myself. And secondly, just for Ghanaians to appreciate and understand that, look, this is something that we are all fighting. It's not an individual thing. It's a collective effort. Some of us sacrificed by coming out to let Ghanaians know that, look, this is the state of our country. And I believe that in doing so, because to come out and say that, look, I have the virus, it's not an easy thing. Because we know how Ghanaians are, or how some Ghanaians or families react to when even you have even common fever in your family, or when someone is sick. But the point is that someone must come out to let people understand what is truly happening. And some of us have volunteered to do so. Now, there are situations where people who have come out, or people who have been picked by health experts, are being discriminated and stigmatized by the by society. I believe we have to stop that, because you know what? When we start doing that as a society, what we are simply doing is that we are telling people who have the virus not to come out. Because if I have it and I know that maybe when I get chloroquine, I'm going to be fine in the next 2 days, why will I take the risk to come out so that at the end of the day, my family and everybody will be discriminated and they will be treated as less human? I believe that is an unfortunate aspect, because what we need is that, look, if the government of Ghana is even fighting this thing, and at the end of the day, there are people with the virus and still walking around freely, what it means is that it will take us almost 10 years to fight this virus. But when people are willing to come out and their health experts are ready to assist them to recover, Luckily enough, we have heard that today there have been 8 recoveries. That is a positive sign. That shows that, look, we have made some gains. So it is up to our brothers out there to appreciate and understand that, look, just like the way when we are playing a World Cup, we all support Black Star. We have to support our brothers and sisters who find themselves in this situation. I don't think it is in the interest of any of us who have got the virus to go out there and bring disease to the country. No, far from that. Someone like me, I was on official assignment. I didn't travel to France on my own, let's say, for tourism or for any other thing. I went there for an official assignment. And I believe that if I have come from an official assignment and unfortunately I came with this particular virus, and I have been bold enough bold enough to come out and say that, look, Ghanaians are happy, so please help me out so that my brother or my sister or my daughter out there will not be infected. I believe society should rather applaud me rather than to discriminate or the stigmatization that is
stigmatized. Yes,
I believe that is improper.
All right.
And I am pleading to each and everyone that, look, this is a national call. Let's put aside our partisan and all kind of mentality that we have about our fellow brothers. Let's work together, let's fight together, and let's win this thing together. I believe this is the best thing that we can do for our country at this material time. And let's stop whatever we are doing. We should rather fight the fear and then give hope to people.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, we will come out victorious.
All right. Thank you very much, case number 7, for agreeing to speak with us. And thank you for all the enlightenment you provided. You're watching Joy News Prime.